Okay, so we're going to discuss about the budgeting and planning process for digital marketing via two examples. So you can see here in the first example, uh, we are assuming that we are selling shoes online and the MRP of the shoes is 1000 rupees and the cost of making the shoe is 750 rupees. So when we are selling something, we have to take into account not just the MRP but also the complete cost of production. So we know that the cost of production in this case is 750 rupees, and hence our profit is about 250 rupees, right? But this is not the pure profit. We also have to advertise to sell it, so there is an advertising cost also that will be incurred. And if we are using digital marketing, then there has to be a cost that would be attributed to digital marketing, right? So normally marketing attributes a certain percentage of the profit or a certain percentage of the total MRP or total revenues that are generated from the sales. It can range from 5 to 6% to about 17, 18 odd percentage. So you can choose wherever you are comfortable, you are not compromising on profitability. You can choose that percentage and go ahead. In any case, whenever you advertise for the first time, you have to take assumptions. Once you have statistics and data with you, then you make intelligent guesses after that, right? So this is our first time, and you can see one scenario is that I completely compromise on my profitability, and I say that I am not going to earn a single penny out of it, in which case my advertising cost would be 250 rupees max, right? Since my profit is 250 rupees, I can spend a maximum of 250 rupees only. Otherwise, I'll be in losses. So, my break even point, the point where I am neither making a loss nor a profit, is 250 rupees. So, I've got one data point here that this is the maximum amount I can spend on acquiring a conversion online for my shoe, right? Or, on the other hand, I can say that, look, I'm going to, let's say, spend 100 bucks out of this 250 rupees on advertising only, and I would want to retain a profit of 150. So completely depends upon you of how much profit do you want to retain and how much you want to give away as a part of marketing expense, right? The core and critical data point that we wanted to understand and know from here is what is our profitability, which we have derived, and this is the maximum point that we can go to promote our products, right? So then you have to create a chart like this. Okay, so whenever we do digital planning, we create something similar which starts from impressions. So impressions is the number of times your ad is seen by people, right? And then comes clicks. Clicks means number of times people click on your ad after they see it. So it's an important metric because clicks also can imply visits to your website. People, when they click, they are routed to your landing page or the page on which your product is being showcased. So clicks can be taken theoretically, let's say, as visits also. CTR is click through rate, which means out of 100 times an ad was shown, how many times people clicked on it. So that's the CTR. CPC is cost per click. Okay, how much money are we paying per click? And the media could be Google AdWords, the media could be Facebook, the media could be display advertising somewhere. CPC is a standard form of costing. And then we have the total budget that we are spending, which will be derived, of course, based on number of total clicks multiplied by the cost per click. That is one way of deriving the budget. We can also derive to the budget by multiplying the sales, number of sales, into the cost per acquisition, right? So either ways the budget can be derived. This is sales unit, which means how much sales have been done, and this is conversion rate. So out of 100 clicks, how many people actually converted and bought something? That is conversion rate. And then the CPA, right? So this is a normal, very, very simple way of depicting a planning process for digital marketing. Now from this above chart, we know that our advertising cost that we're targeting is $100 per acquisition. We could also put 250, but in which case we will neither be in profit nor in losses. So either ways, right, up to us. So we can put 100 rupees here. Here, now we have to do some assumptions. So we are assuming that out of 100 people who land on our website, 10 are going to buy my product. Okay, so which is 10%. So I'm going to put 10% here. Fine. And sales unit, of course, is 1. So this is, we are deriving it for one person or one sale only. So one person is 10% of total number of clicks. Remember, clicks is almost equal to visits. And if we say that the conversion rate is 10%, we are essentially stating that out of 100 people who land on our website or 100 people who click on my ad, 10 people are going to buy, right? So since this, so I can derive easily the number of clicks also from here, right? So 10% of 10 is essentially one sales unit, and 10% of 10, I have put 1 here already. So I need to have 10 clicks to get one sales unit. Fine. Now let's go ahead. We have to assume another metric, which is called CTR. So we are assuming two metrics in this planning process. Why are we assuming? Because we don't have a precedence, we don't have an earlier experience. So if we're doing it for the first time, we have to assume the CTR and the conversion rate, and we are going to derive everything from these two metrics. However, if we have done an advertising activity earlier, then we can learn from that experience and put our last conversion rate and last achieved CTRs here to see what kind of monies we're going to spend and so on, right? But since here we don't have a precedence, we are going to assume that, and we are assuming it as per what we think is fair. Okay. The reality might be different, but that's fine. When you execute it, the reality is different, then you're going to optimize it to make it as closer to your planning process. Even if you can't, don't worry, because that's the first time. So you get your learnings, and in the second planning process, second phase, then you put the real numbers that you achieved. So for now, we are just assuming it. So we are saying that the click-through rate, which means out of 100 impressions, how many people are clicking my ad, I am assuming 5% people are going to click my ads. Fine. So 5% people are going to click your ad out of X number of impressions. Fine. So you know that your clicks are 10 and CTR is 5%. So 5% of, if this was X, then 5% of X will be equal to 10, which means X will be, X is impression, X will be 10 into 100 divided by 5, right? Simple formula. and impressions would be 200. So you have impressions with you, you have clicks with you, you have CTR which you have already assumed, you have your CPA which is given from the above, right? You have assumed conversion rates, you know it is being done for one sales unit, so the budget is also there with you automatically, right? So you have all the data here with you. Now what you're getting from this planning process is that you know that I have to maintain a CPC of 10 bucks to do justice to this budget. Otherwise, the moment I increase or decrease it, the budget's going to, flicker. It's going not going to be remaining the same. So I have to maintain that's my target when I execute the campaign. My CPC has to be 10 rupees. My target also is to optimize my CTR to 5% and my conversion rate at 10% so that I maintain my cost per acquisition of 100 rupees. Fine. So suppose if this CTR becomes 6%, you can see automatically things are changing. My sales unit has become 1.2, my budget has increased, right? My number of clicks have increased, okay? So but my CPA is same. So this is a great tool if you want to play with the monies and keeping your CPA constant. If I want to keep my CPA constant and play with, let's say, conversion rates, CTRs, you can see everything else changes, right? So I know how this model is going to behave if my CPA is constant, and then what do I need to do, right? So you can create various scenarios from this model or this kind of an Excel sheet by just tweaking your conversion rates and CTRs. You can see how your budgets get impacted, how much budget you need, how many number of sales can you achieve. All this changes by just tweaking these two assumptions, right? So when you achieve this, let's say if we go ahead with our own old 5% and 10%, sorry, this is 10%, fine. So we know that my total revenue is 1,000 bucks, right? That's the revenue that I am going to get by selling one pair of shoes. My cost is 750 rupees already given to me. My cost of advertising is 100 rupees coming from here. Okay, that's my total budget that I'm spending, and my profit is 150 bucks, which I've achieved. Now suppose if I again make some formula, put some formula here and essentially link this with my total advertising budget, and profit is nothing but um, let's say your revenues, okay, minus sum of your costs, correct? That's your profit. Fine. Now if I change anything here, look at this. If I change this to 7%, sorry, 7%, what happens? Everything changes, right? My profitability changes. My profit is now higher at 180 bucks because of this conversion rate. My budgets have reduced to 70 bucks, right? So this Excel sheet, if you can create this kind of an Excel sheet, putting in formulas, you can actually plan your budgets, your ROI, just by tweaking these two assumptions from here, right? That is how you derive your ROIs and budgets and planning process. Now, the derivation of budget is not a Herculean task. It is simply the number of units that you want to sell multiplied by your cost per acquisition that you want to achieve. As simple as that. So budgeting is not a problem, whether it is traditional marketing or digital marketing. It's very simple to derive a budget. The process becomes complex after that. That how do you plan this, right? How do you set it out for execution? So this is how you set it out for execution, by predicting or by planning what you're going to achieve and how you're going to optimize and how you're going to keep a hold on key metrics. So these are the key metrics that you have, and you have the opportunities to optimize it by tweaking your conversion rate and tweaking your click-through rate. These are the two handles that you have, right? And that is how you scale it up. Now if you have lots of budget, then you can go for more impressions. You can say, fair enough, I'm going to go for 10,000 or 1 lakh impressions. Everything changes for you again, right? But at 1 lakh impressions and 7% conversion rate, suddenly your profits kind of decline. Okay, because this we have not maintained this. Total revenue is, let me put the formula here, 1000 multiplied by the number of units we're selling. So this is what your real profit is. This is what your real advertising budget is. And of course, we have to do this also. So 750 is my cost of procurement into the number of sales units. So this is your final model, which is ready. You change stuff, you change your impressions, change your clicks, whatever you change, this table is going to change with a constant CPA of $100, right? So if you guys want this Excel sheet, let me know. I can mail it to you, so you can just fill in the details and it will calculate everything for you. Now the second scenario that we have is, let's take an example of a school. The second scenario is an example where we are looking at a traditional marketing being practiced at an organization, and we're trying to get inspired and taking cues from there to develop our own plan for digital. So again, very simple. So let's see this example of a school, and the school is promoting itself through two mechanisms. Number one, through hoardings, and number two, through pamphlets, right? So again, traditional marketing is not much measurable, so that is a problem that you will always face. uh, but still, one can estimate the benefits of advertising through traditional mechanism, and one should put that in an Excel sheet to understand whatever ROIs one can comprehend from there. So we are saying that by putting in the hoarding in a local area, we are looking at that hoarding being viewed 10,000 times in a certain time frame, let's say a month, or let's say a week, or let's say a day, whatever time frame it is, you can estimate that and put it here. So let's say 10,000 times in a month that hoarding is viewed. That is equivalent to impressions that we have, right? Impressions is also number of times an ad is viewed. The pamphlets that we distribute maybe 4 times in a month uh, is viewed 100,000 times. So total impressions that we have is 110,000 impressions. Out of these, we get 30 calls or walk-ins or inquiries, and we can also, if there is an intelligent marketer there, he or she would try and attribute those inquiries to a certain source, right? Maybe they would ask people, how did you know about us? And hence, they would estimate that 20 of these inquiries have come in from hoardings and 10 from pamphlets. And again, how many people finally take admission in the school for their wards? Find that 12 people take admission finally, and 10 from the hoardings source and 2 from the pamphlet source, right? And the total cost that we have incurred on hoardings and pamphlets is also given here. We would know that 60,000, 50,000 and 10,000, that is 60,000 total. And if we divide this cost with the conversion, we can get cost per acquisition. We can also get conversion rate by uh, dividing your total conversions um, with the total leads multiplied by 100. So 10 divided by 20 into 100 for this part, and totally you can divide 12 by 20 by 30 and then multiply by 100 to get your conversion rate from leads. And you can also get conversion rates from impressions, okay, which means how many people who watched the ad also converted. So the ad was actually viewed 110,000 times, and total 12 people converted. So 12 divided by 110,000 multiplied by 100 is 0.03% is your lead to impression to conversion rate. Okay. So this is a traditional model and we know everything from here. All we have to do is just put the numbers from here back to this place. We have a conversion CPA data with us. So we are spending 4,615 bucks to acquire one admission, right? So this CPA we can put in here, and then we have a lot of other stuff also available to us. So do we have conversion rate? Yes, we don't have to assume now. In the second scenario, we are not assuming anything. We are transporting our conversion rate from traditional marketing into digital marketing plan. So conversion rate we already have, which is 43%, which we can put here. How many sales, which means how many admissions, conversions total, we have that number also here. We can put it here. Total budget 60,000 we can put it here, right? And impressions we can put impressions also here. And we can derive in a similar way all the stuff by importing our metrics from the traditional marketing domain, right? So because we are going to in the initial planning process, we are going to show that we are going to match these costs, okay? Or we can say that no, I can do it in half the cost. Since it's the first time you would be doing, you won't have any uh, data point to prove that. So you have to put either these numbers which you have achieved through traditional marketing, or you can put some number that you think you can achieve as a cost per acquisition. So you can see that I can achieve it in less than half the cost on digital. So fine. So maybe 2308 is the cost per acquisition that you would aim for here, and then same process. Fine. So you can do it in similar ways. You can also do something like this again and create something similar. So the CPA is already with us. This is the CPA here. I can just copy and paste for you. Sorry, it's not. So let me put it here. Fine. Conversion rates. Yes, we have conversion rate from walk-ins. Fine, which is this 43%. So if 100 people walk in or inquire, 43% actually buy my product or take admission in my school. Fine. So if conversion rate is 43%, what is the number of sales or admissions that we're looking at? We're looking at 13. Fine. So just put 13 here. 13. Okay. Now, what is the total budget? Total budget is 60,000 bucks. Also, we know again from our experience of spending monies in traditional marketing, 60,000 bucks. Fair enough. Okay, how many leads did we get? How many leads, inquiries, etc. do we plan to get? So we're going to get 30 from here. Fine. So 110,000. Okay. Now leads to all we need is that we need to take assumption of CTR. Okay, so let's take the same assumption of 5% CTR here. Fair enough. So if 5% CTR means that out of 100 impressions, how many clicks do we get? 5% of impressions is 5500. So there is no clicks in the traditional mechanism, which is why we are just assuming the CTR here. And this is the number of clicks that we received. Fine. Now, how do you calculate your CPC? CPC is cost per click, and it is nothing but total budget divided by the number of clicks. Okay, so CPC is 11, but you have to target now to justify your budgets, to justify your ROI, justify your cost per acquisition, and to justify that you can be as efficient as traditional or even better. This is the CPC that you have to aim for. Fine. So lead rate is, we already have the lead rate. Lead rate is nothing. We can derive it again if we want. Of how many leads are we getting from clicks, let's say. Okay. Actually less than that. So this is 0.55%. So we have got all the columns filled up for us. Okay. And this is how we're going to execute our plan now. We're going to tweak our CTR. We're going to tweak our lead rate, CPC. All these are handles for us now, right? If we increase our CPC, then everything is going to go haywire, right? So we have to make sure that our CPC is less than 11. Only then we are going to do justice to this cost per acquisition, and we can show that we are efficient, right? So the best way to start is either assumptions like this model here, or if you have an experience of what you have been spending on traditional marketing, you can derive numbers from traditional marketing, put it into your plan, and then execute it with the handles. So CPC is one handle. Make sure it does not go beyond 11 bucks. CTR is another handle. Make sure it is at least 5%. Okay. Make sure that your lead rate is 0.55% and above. And if you can do better lead rate, better CTRs, slightly lower CPCs, you can actually going to do much better in terms of achieving a lower CPA and hence better profitability and more efficient marketing than traditional marketing. So this is how you do your budgeting and planning. In more advanced cases, you're going to divide this into various rows. So this row could be for AdWords, this could be for Facebook, this could be for email, this could be for organic SEO, right? And you will estimate how much clicks, how can I get, how much traffic, how much conversion rate from there, and total, what's my budget, what's my achievement of sales and ROI, right? That's how you do it. Now, if you want this, just send me a mail on saurabh@dotconverse.com and I can send it to you. If you use that, you can mail it to me. You can write to me at saurabh@dotconverse.com. Right? Thank you so much.